and it gets to start off with Title Tuesday for the month of January, which is very exciting. I can see from the list here that we already have quite a few people online and already in the tournament. Daniel Naroditsky there, I see right at the top. Let me bring the standings on the screen for you guys. You guys can see who is in the tournament. A lot of you might not recognize me. My name is Aman Hambleton, and my beard is finally off. And I wouldn't be very interesting to laugh at anymore without the beard on. So I decided to dye my hair to make sure that I remain in your comedic spotlight. So welcome everyone. I hope everyone had a happy new year. Celebrated responsibly and had fun. But we're gonna bring in the new year with a big chess day ahead, and of course Naka against Carlsen. This Speed Chess Championship is happening tomorrow, so I mean you guys just get spoiled with chess right off the bat. But you can see on your screen there Daniel Naroditsky, top of the table right now. So a lot of big names missing from the tournament, at least at the very top. But I do see Andreikin registered there, Vladimirovich, and I think Konovets is Sam Sevian as well. But some big ratings at top: Alexei Sorokin and Alexander Moskalenko, both over 2750 in blitz. That's a really, really high rating. So there you go. The games are on. Let's start by following Daniel Naroditsky here. He's the top game, and he's playing black here against Soggy Cheese 12, the 12th person to think of that name. National Master here. So once again, welcome everybody to Title Tuesday. It's a 10-round tournament. 3 + 2, 3 minutes, 2-second increment is the time control. I got the chats open, chess.com/TV, twitch.tv/chess. So if you guys have any comments, I will be following along very, very closely. So definitely interact. Be highly encouraged. You guys can keep me company. I got my sweater on here because it's a little chilly. It's a little chilly out here in Canada. I think the weather forecast, they keep saying that it's going to feel like over -30. So it's a chilly one. It's a chilly one. Hello to everybody in the chat there. And what do we have here as the opening? Looks like some sort of Pierce. Yeah, this sort of modern Pierce stuff. Fashionable lately. Magnus Carlsen likes to play this way, as he did recently in the World Blitz Championship. As black, it's the most flexible system to just get a unorthodox position right out of the opening, not deal with too much opening theory, and let white commit to trying to gain space or potentially overextending in the center, and all that. So e5, bishop e3. We'll probably see eventually something like rook e8, but I imagine at the moment he's a little concerned about knight g5 and just dealing with the f7 pawn. White, on the other hand, has pretty straightforward play, I would say. Queen d2 on the horizon. A rook on e1 is always nice. So black decides to, not play d5, probably. Actually, it's not the worst move, but I don't think he'll play it. No, of course, rook e8. Bring the rook to the e file. Going after the e-pawn here. f3 is never a move you like to play too much. Number one, because after f3, then d5 would be a fantastic move. As you see, I was just foreshadowing the future. d5, and now the bishop is hanging on e3, so that wouldn't work out too well. But without the move f3, then you really get in some trouble. Queen d3, knight e5. So already looks like you have to make some concessions with white. The knight goes to b3. It's not ideal. The bishop has to go back to d3. So a lot of white's great pieces in the center suddenly just disappeared from their nice posts. Knight on b3, bishop d3. I think black is doing well here. He can definitely be satisfied with how the opening went here. Weird move might be something like knight d5. He goes for d5. I wasn't sure if he would enjoy the repercussions of e5 because white is surely going to play e5 here. You can't let the position open for the two bishops. He's going to close it down with d4 next. Meanwhile, I imagine knight h5, knight g3, knight f5 might be the maneuver here. But at least white gets to close down the position. You got that easy pawn chain, a very strong pawn on e5. You just support it. I mean, it's not difficult to play. Black could also bring the knight here, but I have a feeling he's going to go for knight h5. Knight d7. I'm not sure I like that one as much. I kind of like knight h5, knight g3, getting in on some of the squares. But again, the thing that I don't like about how this progressed for black is how easy it is to play for his low-rated opponent. 24-18, no slouch, but I don't think that white has a difficult time playing this position. Eventually you'll get the move d4. You can always consider things like g4 and f5, and I think that black very soon is going to play something like knight e6 and f5. Might be a consideration, but a piece blunder. That is a piece blunder, right? Is there a way out of this? Cleverly? No, I don't think so. He needed to keep his bishop on this diagonal. He made the mistake of thinking that the bishop on d6 was actually good. So the game is actually just over, guys. That's a win for Daniel Naroditsky. But in this position, I think you want to continue with things like d4. Bishop goes back to f2 potentially. Maybe g4. And maybe things like a5 and try to put the knight a4, knight c5 like that. I don't like this bishop c5 d6, and there's even a tactical reason why it's just game over, because the knight hangs. So we'll move on to another game in the tournament here. Who else do we have? Let's take a look at Andreikin. There he is. Dmitry Andreikin playing black here, and it's funny, the position actually bears some resemblance to the game we just looked at least with the structure. You got the strong pawns there, and the control by black. So both sides with decent chances here, because white's got a nice blockade, knight on d3, but at the same time he's fully passive, and with black cementing control of this, he's finally going to swing the rooks over and go for an a4 break. If I'm white here, I want to play the move a4 myself. I don't want to let black play a4. After rook b8 and a4, I'm not sure that I'm not sure about this by white. This looks wrong. This looks wrong for sure. Yeah, a4 has to happen. Ooh. As white, I think you play a4. You just batten down the hatches. You just say, all right, guys, it's going to be a long winter. That's why we have the +2 seconds increment. You say it's going to be a long winter. I'm just going to go full Canadian, batten down the hatches, and I'm just going to go to my log cabin and say that you can't break in. I think they made what was it, like a children's story about that. The Three Little Pigs. Three Little Pigs. And that big bad wolf. And right now, Andreikin here is the big bad wolf. And he needs a way into the position. He's got more than a minute time advantage. But you have to find a way to break through. And after a4 by white, I think that's difficult. But, man, this is really... I'm surprised that these guys are waiting so long, both of them, for playing a4. It seems to me like white should play a4 and not allow any of this stuff. Black looks like he's thinking about this. We might see the move g5. That looks like an optimal break for black. Is he recycling? What's he doing here? Is he playing rook g8, king f8, and like that? No, if he does that, then we will see this. But okay, he's finally taken the a4 move. He's finally done it. a4, now that the queen has moved off the c-file, c4 pawn's no longer protected. So, yeah, but now the c-pawn falls, and so does the position. Falls apart slowly, I think, after the exchange and just grabbing the c-pawn. So, yeah, that's what time pressure does. Ooh, this doesn't look good. Takes, but you got to watch this pawn a little bit. Both pawns are hanging here, actually. time pressure, 10 seconds. So national master here with 10 seconds against Dmitry Andreikin. And Andreikin is up a pawn, albeit momentarily. So do not take this probably because knight g3. Although it doesn't get mated on the spot because of bishop g1. It's not the position you want. Black's just going to bring the artillery in. I don't see how you can defend this. You're going to have to play g4. Yeah, it's got to be g4. If only en passant worked the move after. Then black could have played rook takes f2, rook takes, and then take en passant. But they still haven't changed that rule. You still haven't changed that rule. Bishop takes g3, rook f3, and after rook c3, everything is falling in this position. Okay, we got a pawn with check. Why not? We got rook c1, rook there, and then probably something like rook d3. Ooh, that's a good one. Something like this. And knight g3, and taking this, maybe something like that. What does he do? King f2. He doesn't do rook e2. He does king f2, and we'll let Andreikin walk us through the icing on the cake here. What's the finish? Bishop d2. Probably just rook c2 because now there's two. Yeah, just knight takes g2. And that'll be it. Probably he'll check first and then play rook to a2. There are a lot of ways to win this. There are a lot of ways to win this. Now there we go. We got some viewers now. Hello, everybody. I would just play this and sacrifice and win the king and pawn endgame, honestly. But that might not be the cleanest way. Rook down. Rook there. There you go. Rook there. Now take it, please. Take it. There we go. Simplification. Making things easier. And I think the national master is going to concede this one, as Dmitry Andreikin is probably capable of winning that. At least we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's see. Let's take a look at another game still going here. And we got a tense battle between Caprep. I'm not sure what GM that is, but he just won the game, and it looks like potentially this is a winning endgame. Let's go back a few moves here. This is definitely not winning, like in this position. Let's be clear, but this is a very good example, and I'm gonna try to explain why. So, if the pawn was not on the board, this is my view, and there might be many ways to draw this, but this is what I think. If the pawn was not on the board, we know it's a draw, right? This is just, we're going to get to the Philidor position in a rook endgame. So you would just bring your rook here, and then down there, or down there, wherever becomes available. And you just wait for the pawn, and we all know the Philidor technique, or if we don't, we should. Now, what he does is he tries to keep the pawn. He's like, well, I've got an extra pawn. Well, I should just keep it. Then it's even easier to draw. But this is where I disagree. It's harder to make a draw because the position, this is not a pattern that we've studied before. I mean, this pawn is never here. So all of a sudden he's making his job much harder. And then he walks into this, which is just losing because we're going to take with check if the rook ever moves. So he entombs his rook on e8 when really the best way to make a draw is just, you know how to draw if you don't have the pawn, so pretend you don't. Just give it up. Who cares? We all know how to make this draw. So I think that would be the smarter way. Much smarter way to do things. It's a practical choice. There might be many ways to draw that. I'm not saying this is the only way, but I think it's the easiest way. And we get to use patterns that we've at least seen before. So I've actually won a lot of games by playing rook endgames, which are obviously drawn. But if your opponent has an extra pawn or two than they're used to, sometimes it confuses them. And I think that's what happened here. So some things to take away from that. All right, games are almost done, I think. Let's see. Oh, we got a 1200 GM. Let's take a look. 1200 GM, guys. Mikhail Golubev. And he just made a draw. So now he's 1428. He's 1428. Okay. This looks like a big result for him. He just gained 228 rating points, guys. This is impressive. That's more rating, I think, than I've ever gained at once. So we're going to have to follow this. He looks like a rising star in the tournament, so we're definitely going to have to follow him. Huge rating gains here, so definitely a guy to watch. Meanwhile, there seems to be... Why are these games disappearing? Are all the games over here? All these games seem to be over. There we go, the next round. The next round just began. I was clicking all the games. I was like, wait a minute, they're all over. All right. Now we're in round 2. And I think I didn't see any major upsets except the 1200 we just saw. Really upset his 2400 opponent with a draw there. Let's take a look at board 1. We got Daniel Naroditsky with the white pieces now, going for d4, now paired against an FM. Title Tuesday, by the way, everybody, really, you really get the strong pairings very quickly. I mean, this is round 2, and he's already playing 2500 blitz. And he's also getting time odds, which is nice. Why not? Yosef here. His name is actually Yosef, and I like that name a lot. The Spanish, I think Spanish people often call people who are named Joseph, Yosef. And one of my favorite DJs is Joseph Capriati. And I think, yeah, there's a lot of videos where people announce him to the stage and they call him Yosef. Joseph Capriati. So right now we got Yosef Taher. And we'll see if this Yosef can lay down the beats as well as the DJ. We got a Queen's Gambit. I like to play this with white. The Knight G2 system. You got the F3 E4 plan. I like it a lot. So I think you'll just play F3 here, and then you have this idea to put the bishop back on F2, and then usually you play a move like H3 to stop Knight G4. And I say that because the plan is actually E4 and takes, and you don't want to allow Knight G4. So yeah, the plan is just E4, and he's either going to do that by bringing the bishop back or leaving the bishop there and just going for E4. I'm not sure that I really like this plan of A5, B5. It seems a little, dare I say, slow. I'm not sure. It seems slow, but also I don't see the point of creating just a permanent weakness on C6. You're never playing C5 because of the B pawn. So basically, you're mapping out that your plan is B4, followed by maybe C5. I'm not sure. If you play B4, there's always Knight A4. So black's position seems a little weird to me, and white gets E4. So we will see B4, we will see Knight A4, and then maybe takes C5. Actually, I'm not sure that I like the way white did this. Normally, the advice I would give and the advice that I follow is be patient with E4 because there's no need to do it. If black plays C5, that always benefits white. You take, and there's an isolated pawn. So I would play a move like H3 or Rook C1 or Rook D1 here. But he went for straight E4, and he gives the Knight G4, but instead of playing H3 as I suggested, his move was King H1 so that he doesn't lose the bishop on F2. But I was most interested in a move like this. I wasn't sure if this was possible or not. I guess he's going to take it, but with the pin on the queen and how active black's pieces get after something like Knight E5, this pawn, this bishop are hit. I'm not sure. Black seems to get good counterplay there, but he also gets interesting counterplay as it's happened in the game with Knight G4 and bishop to G5. So I'm not sure actually if this was better than the immediate C5, but I'm surprised he played it so quickly because C5 definitely looked interesting to me. So bishop C4, now I start to really dislike this bishop on B7. F7 is attacked, so he's got to play a move he doesn't want. Rook F8, going passive. You never want to go passive like that. Are we going to see Rook F3? Queen F5. Double attack, and that should be... Ooh, that's actually very difficult to deal with. Well, there's not many options here. Knight E3. Knight E3. let's say takes, and the bishop starts to feel awkward. There's rook f3, there's rook f1, and then the pawn is a real problem, and there's rook g3, rook h. There's all sorts of rook lifts that I don't like in this position. So yes, he's gone knight f6. He's gone back, but this is awful coordination. Look at the bishop's on the wrong side of the knight, right? The bishop should be on e7. The bishop's on g5, is like worried about getting trapped with h4 at some point. Knight is threatening to go to g6 here. Not sure if that's necessarily a good move, but it's one place that piece might end up. He gives up the bishop because, as I was talking about, the coordination is so bad. The bishop on g5 is on the wrong side of the knight, and there's just no good squares for it to go to. There's an option to play d6 here. Unfortunately, we can't bring a rook here and win a knight, but there is this. I'm not sure if this is correct or not. I don't like putting myself in a pin, and it seems like knight f6 and knight e5 are both possible, so that doesn't look right. Unless it can work tactically, it doesn't look correct. But black wants to play queen or knight to e5, so I think he wants to play knight e5, queen d6, try for a blockade, but I don't think it's going to work. This bishop can always disrupt a blockade there by going to h2. Yes, h3. I like it. Bishop h2 next. Well, I have to deal with this. Maybe b3. b3 or bishop e2. Bishop e2, then the counterplay starts to come, right? c4, c3. That's something to think about. He does it. He does it because he wants that bishop on d4, and I can't disagree. I like that square a lot. Is that just a big blunder by his opponent? I mean, it's not the end of the world, but was that necessary? No, we could have used the other rook. That we didn't have to. Oh no, that rook had to defend the c pawn. So maybe this c4 was a bit rushed. I guess f6. f6 might be the f6 looks fine. I would have played f6. Anyway, back to the game here. Just hung the pawn on f7. King has to move. We couldn't take the bishop because the rook was hanging on f4, so that's why he's played rook f5, and now he really is threatening that. And queen takes e4. There was bishop f3, so this doesn't look very promising here. This doesn't look very promising. He got a pass pawn. He doesn't even take the piece. His bishop was hanging as well, but okay, bishop f3, then c3. It's gonna be a race if he does that. Yeah, he doesn't need to allow that. No need. No need. We almost got 1,000 people watching. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Good to have everybody here in the new year as well. And black is almost in zugzwang. Like, he can't move any of his pieces. And white is never going to move this bishop, really. He's just going to push the pawn. And I don't think this is going to be dangerous. So it looks to me like Daniel Naroditsky is, dare I say, cruising. Queen c5. I like queen c5. Yeah, queen c5 looks like the simplest. Something to make e7 possible. Queen c5, I guess he's thinking about this. And the bishop's attacked, but after something like rook e5, or I mean, e7 might be possible, but I don't think it's necessary. Never want to allow queen e2. Yeah, might still be some work to do. After this, he wants to play b2, b1. So rook e5, b2, e7. There's b1. It's not perfect. So b2, what's he doing? He wants to go for mate. That's very nice. He switched the plans on us. Queen e5 to protect the bishop. And okay, we'll see this. And we'll just put the finish on the board that his opponent didn't give him the pleasure of doing. Queen h5 mate. Nice game by Naroditsky there. I wasn't too convinced by some moments in the opening. Seemed like black could have played c5. That move, usually black, if he's going to put the bishop on b7, you have to play c5. But you look what happened. That bishop stayed on b7 the whole game, and I think there were some moments where you could have played c5 earlier to activate it, and that would have gone a lot better for him. Okay, let's go to another game. This is actually it's actually interesting. Some of these end games. I had a chance to get almost this exact endgame recently, in one of my games in London against Grandmaster Motilev from Russia. So I actually had a chance to have this endgame pretty much, and I didn't even take it because I thought it was going to be drawn. Now, obviously, this is an easy win. The position that I had was a little bit different, but a rook and 2 connected pass pawns in almost every situation should win. And of course, we would all assume that. But there are a few cases, like if the pawns are on h6 and g5. There was that famous game of Aronian against Carlsen, and I think it was played in a World Blitz Championship. So white has pawns on h6 and g5, and a king on h4, and a rook on f4. And black's king is on g6, so it's wedged right in the middle of these 2 pawns. And white, of course, is threatening rook f6 check and king h5, but instead black leaves his rook on a6, so it's actually just a draw. And it was kind of weird that 2 connected pass pawns would just be a dead draw. So if they're on g5 and h6, and black can get his king to g6, that's one way to get a draw. That's one way to earn a draw. Another rook endgame draw. Why was this one drawn? Okay, black doesn't want to play rook here. Why? Why doesn't black want to play rook there? Then rook here. And yeah, the pawns should be too much. Black's going to take this, but there's no reason to risk this endgame, because actually it just looks like it's losing. So let's see here. Who else do we have? Arm Composer from Armenia. I think that's Robert Hovhannissian. And there is no way that this endgame is winning. No way. Actually, I'm a bit confused why they're still playing. I wouldn't assume that white has any pull to try to win this game. Black just leaves the king on g7, and yeah, you don't really have to do any work. King on g7 protects everything, and you got this fortress that you just can't break through. I wonder if it's a king and pawn endgame if it's winning. I suppose it could be. Yeah, you don't want to take that. You don't even want to risk it. But there's no way that this has any chance to win. Let's just say I'll be very, very impressed. Very impressed. King g7. I don't even know what he's trying, actually. I don't even know what he's trying. I wonder if there's another game still going. Got a draw there. Actually, these, for some reason, the games are not disappearing when they finish. Yes, I keep clicking them, and then it's telling me they're drawn. This guy is another GM from Canada, so I wanted to check his game as well. Razvan Preotu. He's I think he's Canada's youngest GM right now. He must be. Yeah, for sure. For sure, Canada's youngest GM. We don't have that many, so it's pretty easy to count. Let's see. Trying to find a game that's still ongoing here. But for some reason, the games aren't really disappearing. So I just have to keep clicking them. It's okay, guys. We always have this lovely game to fall back on. This is like the bedtime story that you get read every night. It's kind of like the one that Dad's going to use if he doesn't have any new material. But I think this is the last game. I think this is the last game in progress. No, I mean, rook e5. What are we hoping for here as white? I think white actually has a chance to lose. If he allows something like rook e4 and takes, then he starts to lose. He's got to be careful here. This king is very far away from the pawns. I'm not sure I recommend it. That would be the worst if you started to potentially lose this game as white. But how come 50 moves hasn't been claimed, I wonder? I think his opponent needs to just offer a draw. Just click that draw button, buddy. That's what I recommend. Welcome to some of our new viewers. If you're just joining us, Title Tuesday, we're just finishing round 2 here. So we're just getting started. There's 10 rounds. Lots more chess. And white is trying to squeeze water from a stone right now. I think black has identified one of millions of drawing techniques here. But I'm just wondering why he hasn't clicked draw. There we go. Click that draw button. That's what we like to see. All right, that's round 2 in the books. And I'll show the standings when we know a little bit more. Right now, there's just a huge tie for first place, of course, with 2 out of 2. So, like I said, the tournament starts, it's really quick. All of a sudden, we have an all GM matchup near the top of the table. It's Grandmaster Kosteniuk, chess queen here, playing black, and JC Ibarra, who really does well in Title Tuesday events. I always see his name near the top of the table. To be honest, I think I see him finishing very well in recent and past Title Tuesdays. So let's see here. It started as a Petrov. Knight c3. The other main line is d4 with bishop d3, but he decided to go for this line. Usually white castles queenside, and then depends. Black can sort of copy and castle queenside as well. White enjoys a space advantage and can usually get the bishop pair. But here, Kosteniuk decides to castle kingside and b5. Ooh, we got some attempted attack here. Now this is a really this is a very instructive moment. After you take and they play a6, this is like a benko, or like a delayed benko. And it's my favorite thing to do is you take part of the gambit, but you don't take the whole thing. Obviously taking on a6 gives a lot of play here, but b6, and now black is just much worse. Just a very bad position. No open files, weak pawn. This is just very bad position for black. And it looked like black might have got the upper hand there with an attack. So I don't like this position really at all for black now. And you can do that with a lot of gambits. So d4, f5, g4 was a gambit that I tried once. I'm not sure the name of it, but against the Dutch, you can do all sorts of gambits. So d4, f5, g4. So what I would do is take. And then after h3, white wants you to take, and bishop h3, and have some fun. He's probably seen some tactic books where black gets mated in like 5 moves in this variation. So after g4, fg4, h3, you don't take, you play g3, just as white did here. So you take part of the gambit, and then you decline the rest, and you just get a good position. And that's what white's done here. JC Ibarra going to plant that bishop on d5. Yes, very nice piece. And the king can always slide to b1, something like rook d2, in order to watch over the pawn. This bishop is dominating the entire board right now. I like white's position. I do like white's position. We got a5, b4 ideas in the bank here. I wonder if those are going to happen. I think a5 is the next move, pretty much no matter what. Now, what is white going to do on the other hand? How is white going to generate some play here? I think a5, b4 is more than just an idea. I think it's quite a serious threat, actually. Yes, it's serious enough that white doesn't even want to deal with a5, and I would tend to agree with this move. Bishop f6, certainly the best square on the board. Bishop a5. Now, it stops the plan, but we all have to agree that bishop on a5 is not the most well-placed piece on the board. But okay, are we going to see just rook to e1? Then black would challenge it, certainly with rook e8. Kosteniuk is making this position work. It's definitely not as bad as I initially thought. I feel bad. I was a bit harsh potentially on black's position. I still don't like it, but white has had to make some very important decisions. So probably queen d2, and then maybe b3. I'm not sure. That looks like one plan. The other thing about queen to d2 is it might allow something like knight b6, and then you start to threaten the bishops. Rook c5. We can move the knight here, like knight b3 to protect the bishop with the rook. Knight b3. That's what it's going to be. Yeah, so as I was saying earlier, I shaved my beard off, but I shaved the beard off, but I didn't want to completely fall out of the spotlight, so I made sure to give you guys something to giggle about. I made sure to dye my hair as well. What's going on here? What just happened? We just missed some stuff. After knight b3, I actually forgot, and maybe JC Barra and Hambleton are drinking the same orange juice. I'm not sure, but knight b2, knight c5, and this is just an achievement for. This is just an achievement for black. I mean, you shatter the king side, and yeah, you get rid of your weakness as well. This is fantastic. You have to play c3, right? It's the only move, and then comes bishop to f5 and all sorts of good stuff. Rook c8. I mean, bishop f7 doesn't work, by the way, with the bishop hanging because you take with the rook. And there's nothing hanging, so that's nice. But yeah, okay. So you had to play c3 and Kosteniuk, bishop f5 and bishop to c2. Ooh, we can all dream about the two bishop mate on c3. We can all dream about that. That would be a very nice checkmate to have. Oh, there's so many tempting moves here. So bishop e4, what's going to be played? Right, so bishop e4, this is natural. Oh, bishop b4. Ooh, is bishop b4 a very good move? Threatening checkmate and protecting the queen so you can move the bishop. Bishop b4, rook d8. Yes. Now you're going to take, and what? We have some checkmate threats too if this rook moves, so black has to be careful. Still has a great position though. Also remember, if this queen moves, something like queen e3, boom, queen takes b4. So there's tactics all over this position. f3 was played, queen e2. There's rook d8, rook d2 coming as soon as black can make an escape square. I think h6 right now. Is there any threat I'm missing? Don't think so. We don't care about queen a6. I don't think. Or do we? That would be incredible. Just play h5 or h6. One of those two moves here. Make some luft. Make the escape square. Ooh, I don't know about queen g2. You can always take that g-pawn. I don't think that was too important. You know, that g-pawn is always going to be there. Look at white. Look at that. Queen takes a6, queen takes b5. Would anyone have the guts to do that? That's what I want to know. Does he really want to just queen his a-pawn? I tell you, the nerve of some of these GMs. The nerve. It's ridiculous. Because actually this a-pawn is kind of motoring. Got to get that h-pawn in the game as well. The queen kind of watches over a7. White's got a very delicate defense here. Okay, but just check. Game over. He missed that move. Yeah, that's resignation. That's over. Yeah, here with queen a4 threatened, you probably have to move the bishop, but then of course the c3 pawn falls. So I think this position might be asking for this move. I think it's the only one, queen b3. The game could have continued. Queen b3, I think you just missed queen a4. So Kosteniuk, you go, girl. Exactly. That's a big win. That's a big win. She moves to 3 out of 3. And JC Barra frequently going very successful in these Title Tuesday tournaments is knocked down a notch very early on. So let's keep going. Who else do we have here? We got Gawain Jones is playing, and he already won his game. This game finished, but he's playing here. from England. He moves to 3 out of 3. We'll be able to show you guys the standings after this round. Let's see. Trade 09. Oh, man. This is... I keep opening games that are finished. I don't know why. They're not disappearing from the screen. But Krikor Mkhitaryan is Trade 09. And he actually ended up losing this game. But he streams on Chess.com as well. So, familiar faces. What about this one? We found a game ongoing. And this could be a very interesting endgame. A4 was played. And why was A4 played? Oh, does he really think that he can just do this and sack the knight? I don't think it's that easy. Black is going to get around to the knight, right? King F2, I should say there's knight D3. Yeah, of course. Of course. By the way, white gave up the pawn because there are some positions where black plays A4, and if there's a white pawn on A3, you can still win that position by using the king and bishop to box out the knight. So bishop E8, right? And then there's no knight G6. Okay, king there, check, king there, and then knight back to F3, right? Or now he goes there. Very interesting. Can't move so he's going to go king there. But I wonder if this is actually winning. This is a very interesting endgame. Very interesting endgame. I'm going to sip my coffee mug and look pensive. Wow. Just soaking in the knowledge here. King B4. And can we really not get this knight? That's kind of incredible. Yeah, do you guys like my mug? It's funny. I actually got this. I actually got this mug at the St. Louis World Chess Hall of Fame in like the boutique shop, and I thought they were selling it as a Nakamura mug. I actually thought it was a Naka mug, but no, it's just an expression. It is what it is. But I actually thought it was official Naka merchandise. Looks like he found a way to finally kick this knight out. The position should definitely be winning. That's what I'm sure. Knight there, and then what? Bishop C4? Yeah, bishop C4 should be... Or, just F2, of course. King F3? King F3 was probably good enough. King F4. Yeah, there's just no way to catch the pawn. That was very nice. That was very nice. I think he'll resign here. What did he do exactly? Yeah, see, once you kick the knight to G5, then the knight, for example, as silly as it sounds, can't move to like I4. If that square existed, that would be the perfect square to move to next. But because it's near the edge of the board, then by taking away F3 from the knight and boxing the knight out, it's just well done by black here. Then the knight goes to H3 and the pawn advances. So it looks like just good technique. The bishop can watch the pawn while playing bishop C6 and watching the F3 square. So nice endgame technique. Okay. Other games still going? Wow, this is almost the exact same endgame. What's going on? Everyone got the memo or something. With two A-pawns, this is very interesting. The knight keeps the king boxed out, but... There might be some hilarious endgame where black king goes down here and gets trapped by white's king and then gets mated. This is almost like a tactic I've seen somewhere. King there, he wants to play knight b4 in general? Really? No, this can't be good for white. What? How does this work? Isn't white just losing? What? I am very confused. Check. Take the knight. Depends on where you put the king. Don't put it there. Okay, good. Good. Now if you take, there's just queen. And then that's a whole new endgame to play. Oh, you can't do that. Now just queen e8, or, oh, okay, obviously queen g5. Yeah, you can't bring the king too far away. Actually, I think he missed a chance to take it. After this, he should have just taken the knight, because, of course, you have queen c4 after promoting. So that would have been a nice finish. But anyway, he managed, of course. He managed, so Black actually wins that position. That's just kind of crazy. What on earth was that decision? So here's what I was thinking. That he would do some, I'm not sure, let's say, I have my dreams that somehow we would get like a checkmate here. This was what I was thinking. Let's say that it happened. Oh, the knight's just not in time to reach some nice mating square. Oh, we're one move away. Almost brilliant. I'll keep dreaming. I'll keep dreaming. We're gonna play the next round. Let's first get the standings on your screen there. So there is a pile up. Still a lot of people tied with 3 points. We see Akobian there. We see Daniel Naroditsky. We got Robert Hess, Gadar Gusenov, Gawain Jones, some familiar names. But let's get right into the next round. Round 4. And we have Kosteniuk, fresh off her win that we saw last round against Daniel Naroditsky. And what is this business with a quick d4? I'm not familiar with this. So sacking a pawn quite temporarily. I mean, this pawn is hanging. We'll see d5, probably bishop back to d3. Actually, bishop b3 is an option too, but I think bishop d3 makes more sense. And as an example, something like knight takes there is not always desirable. Now after this, of course, white can take back, but she may not even choose to do that. I think it's perfectly fine, but that gives the opposite bishop nature to the position, and white could actually choose to play on with knight d2 or knight d4 instead, and then threaten f3. Yes, so black does not take that pawn. Black does not take that pawn. We got 1,300 people watching. Hello out there. Hope you're enjoying so far. I'm definitely enjoying that Kosteniuk is doing so well, because I'm pretty sure that she routinely wins the ladies' prize in Title Tuesday. I think there's like a top female prize. And I think that she wins it quite often, but she might actually not win it for the first time, because she might win the main prize instead. So we'll see. Okay, just take. Bishop takes, of course, and black has an amazing endgame here. For those that don't know, that's this knight right now. This is what we call a good knight. What we call a good knight. This is like you know, going out with your friends on your birthday. That's what this is. This is a good knight right here. Knight on f5, and g6, h5 if necessary. All pawns on light squares. King e6, and then you just have 3 pawns against 2. So white's not down a pawn, but it basically feels like it. I would even go so far to say, as this position is probably just strategically winning for black. I definitely think that's true. Probably g6. Yep, there we go. Pawns on light squares, and rook d3. Wonder, do we take that or not? Always the question. Taking definitely solidifies the center, but you can always play c6. I figure that he's going to take. I don't like allowing rook there. The other thing that you could do is try to activate the rook from a6, but yeah, I think taking makes the most sense. And then bringing the rook to d5. Yeah, play c6, something like rook over to d5 and b5 maybe. Okay, c6, yep. I like this so far. Rook there, and now the next question, how to proceed. How do we improve? This knight can move. That's one thing you have to remember. It's on an amazing square. Looks so good, but we have to remember that it can move, and maybe it should. Maybe it should here. Something like knight there. C5 is also an option. C5 might be a good move. C5 and then slowly kick the rook out with B5. Right. What does white do here? Bishop back out of... I'm not sure why bishop would go back, but yeah. Okay, you can actually decide to play this instead, but B6 here. Bishop E3, or where are we going? Bishop back to A3, then C5. Then C5. I like. Yes. Because if you play D4 and trade everything, black just wins with the outside pass pawn. So if D4 is not an option... Actually, D4 could very well be an option just because of this. Rook C6. So black would have to take with the knight first, but then that simplifies everything. Yeah. No, you don't want to do this as white. That's how you lose. So A5, of course, you want to get rid of your weakness, also get an open file. But black's just going to have a protected pass pawn here, and definitely very good chances to win the endgame. So maybe knight E7, but whoa, G5. G5 looking for takes, and takes on E5 check. Okay, so she's gonna throw in A takes B6. So let's say this happens. King F4. I'm not sure if this is actually tremendous by black. Maybe rook back to D5, but then rook E4. Yeah, I'm not sure that this is so good. I'm pretty sure that white is going to take. Pretty sure. Otherwise, maybe black plays G4, and I'm not sure I'm a fan of that. Of allowing that is. Oh, we have to look at this. Rook there, G4, rook here. Ooh, that stings. That stings. Oh, that's gorgeous. Please let it happen. Please let that happen. Oh, that's too nice. Rook A4. This could definitely happen. Rook A6, knight D6. Ooh. Oh, no fun for us. No fun for us. I'm getting excited, showing my mating patterns, and Kosteniuk probably saw the exact same one. She's like, yeah, my game's not going in a tactics book. Relax, everyone. Relax. Oh, that's too bad. I would have liked to see that. We'll probably see check and king D5 here. Check and king D5, yeah, that's what was played. And is white? Yeah, white's down a pawn here, so this is not that promising. What do you do though? Because there's a lot of activity. You know, B5. All of a sudden, as soon as the rook gets down here, starts checking. That's when you got to be a little careful. Maybe just take and then play rook H4. I think that's the best. Because there's no check. That's what I like. Rook B4, king C6. Okay, this is also very good. You just have an extra pawn, but I think rook H4 was a good move. I like rook H4 a lot. Rook F1, of course. Never play passive defense. Always active defense. You gotta go after this pawn. So she's doing the right thing. We'll see if she can hold the draw here. Down a pawn in a rook endgame, and this is a very dangerous pawn. Black has the easy idea of supporting this pawn, using the rook to check the king away, and it seems like you're going to queen a lot faster than white is going to queen. Rook D2. What's going to happen here? So if D6, what? Rook C2? Just take it. Oh, wait, what? Just take it. Or she actually can win now. Yeah, actually, she can win now, actually. So king F3. King F4, I'm not sure. But okay, yeah, this is not an option because you just queen. Yeah? Well, okay, wait a minute. Okay, one thing is that these positions can be a little bit tricky sometimes, where black has a rook and a pawn, because sometimes there are positions where it's just winning for black and you can queen the pawn. This is certainly not one of them. The pawn is even 2 steps away, but I'm a little concerned here that this is not just... I don't think this is an easy win. It might not even be winning. I'm not sure. Because once the rook gets to like c2, then you really start worrying about losing. I think she'll take... I mean, she might try to win, but this is scary. This is scary. Yeah, I think they'll take a draw. Yeah, that's a fair result here. That's a fair result here. I'm not sure if this was winning at any point, but white definitely did a good job. So what I was thinking was that here, you do this one. Because your next move is not taking the pawn, you're checking, and then you're taking the pawn with check. This seems very forcing. Keep in mind this rook cannot leave this pawn because you just take it with check. So I think this just wins on the spot. What do you do? I'm not sure. Like rook b4 for an example. Check. King somewhere. Check. And then go defend your pawn. Or check again. Doesn't matter. Whatever. But now you're up 2 pawns. This is just good. So I think that rook h4 was probably decisive. Let's take a look at another game. A draw for Kosteniuk and Naroditsky here. Guseynov beat Gawain by the looks of it. So Gawain goes down and Guseynov maintains a perfect score as well. Probably a lot of these games are finished. Yes. So Bobby has also lost that game as black against Borscht 7. And we always got to find the National Master story of the tournament. And it looks like the story might end right now, but there he is. He's got 2 points out of 3. There's always, isn't it Title Tuesday tradition? It's always a National Master who stuns the world. Yeah, but black's going to clean up so many of these pawns here. Yeah, just d5 or h6. Unfortunately, not this one. Unfortunately, not this one. And Oparin wins that game. And we move to the tricky end. Ooh, that's nice. We just walked in on a stalemate defense. He's trying to win this endgame. It's definitely looks like it should be drawn. But then he had this nice thing at the end. Rook f7. And of course you don't take and you lose on the spot. But hey, king h8. Look at that. And stalemate. I like that. That's a nice finish. Let's take a look at... we got a rook against bishop. Rook and bishop against rook, excuse me. Here we go. And who is... okay, the IM has the rook. He's looking to put this away. I can't remember if we saw this in the World Blitz Championship. I don't remember like a high-profile game having this endgame. I don't think so. He's using the second-rank defense, the lateral defense, where you just keep the king and rook fairly close together, especially on light squares. Yeah, king there. And the idea is that if you ever get checked, you always move away, and then the threat of the rooks trading means that black can't advance his king closer. Right? This rook is probably going to want to get all the way around, but then we'll see the point of this defense, that if you get checked, the king goes back, you can't play king d3 because your rook's attacked. So that's why this one is like the easiest defensive mechanism, but black can usually force you to work a little bit harder to defend this. So I think what you have to do is put the rook here and then play bishop there. That's usually the motif. It's okay. He might play bishop there. I'm not sure, just to see where he goes. But there you see the point of the defense. I think he needs to put the bishop there. Rook c8 and bishop to c3 should be the way that you get the king to the last rank. But I'm sure they've been playing this for a while, so he's probably able to claim a 50 move very, very soon. Yeah, there it is. It's a draw by 50 moves, so a successful defense. And I actually don't get a chance to say that very much on Title Tuesday. Usually the rook and bishop beat the rook, but that's a good defense. Black didn't look like he really tested his opponent here. All right, so let's just show the standings very, very fast because the games are underway in round 5. But there you go with 4 out of 4. Let me actually make that window a little bit bigger because you guys can't see the scores they have. There we go. Those are the standings. As you have it right now, we have an IM and an FM. 2 FMs tied for first in the tournament. So let's see if they can maintain that. As we look at who's in the lead right now. Let's take a look at a game that we haven't, or a player we haven't followed yet. The Flaming GM, or the Flaming M. I wonder if he prefers to be called the Flaming M or the Flaming GM. Have to ask him one day. Important questions. Queen e7. Let's go back just quick. This looks like a Pierce. Yes. And white is Andreikin, I'm pretty sure, from Cuba. GM Andreikin. Andreikin or Ortiz Suarez, I can't remember offhand, but a lot of strong Cuban GMs. He's right now about 2,700. Both players about 2,700. So these are the serious games. He's gonna take that, I think. Takes. White enjoys this advantage. Knight a5 not possible because the queen covers. White enjoys the space advantage, but he's not castled. So moves like knight d4 are possible. And that's a little tough to face. I mean, you can't take it, and knight takes f3 is just a threat. Now, if that knight had to go back to b8, okay, we understand. White might be happy with that position, but this honestly just looks like a big achievement for black here. This looks like a very nice position. Oh, he's going in the tank here. That is a full minute advantage. So he's decided to take it because he doesn't want those double pawns. And we're going to see g3, king, g2. And black with all the options here. We might see c6, but taking this pawn is also probably not correct. Maybe bishop d7 as well. Bishop d7 looks like an interesting move. We might also see bishop f5 and bishop e4, but I don't like to allow rook e1 there. The only thing is like something like this. It plays directly against the fact that the king is going on g2. But the other way to do that is just move the c-pawn, and if you take, I take back, I play c5, and I play bishop b7, and I'm not sure I like that. Is he going to play g3? It's tough because you have to make a concession here as white. I don't think you can have everything you want. c5, bishop b7 is coming, and I don't think you can hide the king safely there because queen d6 just covers that square, so that's a little bit odd. Yeah, what's up with queen c5? I assumed that the bishop was going to b7. Okay, this doesn't look so bad at all, actually, for white. And he's getting a queen exchange. What is going on? Okay, I would have played it a bit differently. I I liked something like this. Although I'm looking now, maybe knight g5 was the issue, but there has to be a better way to do that. Maybe knight g5, you just play rook f8. I still feel like the bishop should go on b7 so that it's hard for the king to get out. Because, okay, as it's happened, I don't think white is... I mean, I prefer white, actually. Quite frankly, I prefer white here. Just going to put that knight on c4 and good things. Good things are happening. For example, rook a5, a4, and then you want to play knight c4. Yeah, technically this is a weakness. Now, after knight c4, don't play rook a6. Actually, maybe you can play rook a6. That's funny. But rook a6 does get the rook trapped. So he might be counting on something like this, which is a nice tactic, but there's a funny move which maybe works, maybe doesn't. Okay, a5 traps the rook, sacks a pawn, and I think because the bishop can come here that you'll get your rook out. So rook a6 actually works, yes, and he does go for that tactic. Rook a6, and you just take the pawn on a4, and actually he just loses a bunch of pawns. I'm not sure how forcing that was, but how come after bishop f5 he didn't just take it? Rook d5, why not just take this? Takes, rook takes, and then bring the king to d3, bring the knight to c4. This looks like a fantastic position. Confusing, to say the least. White's going to try here, but I mean, you are 2 pawns down. 2 full pawns. Now, you have a nice minor piece. You have a c4 square, but that should never be compensation here. Bishop h6, bishop d2, or what? Knight c6. Minute 5. So actually the time advantage completely disappeared, but okay, 2 pawns is something he can work with here. After knight takes a7, there's c4, which is why he's not doing that move right away. Rook takes a7. Wait a minute, what? How come he did that? That's really, really strange. If I'm white, I'm even considering playing for a win here. What is he up to? Hang on a sec. f6? Now, I understand it's definitely not easy to win this position as black because the knight is so strong, the light squares are so weak, but f6? You let him trade rooks. c4. Is this really a move? Look how many pawns he's sacking all of a sudden. What's going on here? What? Was this all planned or something? This is like really, really devious stuff. Look at this. And he's going to take all the pawns or something? Wow. I mean, if this works, that's like the craziest tactic. What on earth? And now you bring the king or what? But white just plays this and then knight there and takes. How can this... Does this really work? I'm so confused. That happened so quickly. I don't know how he was so comfortable sacrificing like 3 pawns in a row. 3 pawns in a row. He did it with confidence too, with pizzazz. He's going for the draw here. If king c5, he wants to go here and take that bishop. I think knight b2 is a very good move, and they will make a draw because even though black could, in some world, take the opposition, you need 2 extra moves in this type. White actually has the opposition as well, so it's not even close. Yeah, just king c2, and they'll agree to a draw right now, probably, or at least in a few moves. There we go. But even, let's say that it was white's turn again, and you had to play king e2, then I play king e4. You play king f2, and you know it looks like you're getting outflanked, but then king f3, and you can shuffle between those 3 squares. So you need many, many like extra moves or time-wasting moves to gain the opposition back. I think you need the opposition like 2 or 3 times to win. Excuse me. So I'm not sure, but that happened all of a sudden, guys. Rook takes a7, and they just zoomed to a draw. Interesting. Interesting. Let's see what else we have here. Round 5. Trying to find some other games. That one was pretty wild. Gusenov looks like he just checkmated GM Miranda. GM Miranda. And we still have this game ongoing, but actually, whoa, who is playing for a win here? I guess Black. I guess Black with the 2 potential pass pawns to make. But with the king watching this and the bishop watching that, there's no way to make progress now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, I guess it's White who's playing for the win. At first glance, it was like, wait a minute. Black just has 2 pass pawns that he could make. But of course, White already has 2 pass pawns, so it's just winning for White. Okay, c7. That's just game over. Look at Kosteniuk here. Look at Kosteniuk. You go, girl. Look at that. 4.5 points out of 5 for Kosteniuk. 4.5 out of 5. Just beat Sam Sevian. So that's a big result for her. And is Black really going to win this? Knight check and knight there, or this. Knight f4. Oh wait, what? I think knight f4 was possible. Not that it really matters, but okay, knight f4. It's just that you can't play king e6, so you can actually take this pawn. Yeah, but king e5, and it's really hard to make progress. Knight g4, yeah, no king e4. So now we'll see king f4. Okay, I can dig it. I can dig it. This is very interesting, actually. h5. Oh man, is this winning? That would be very, very nasty if this was winning. But okay, as long as you leave your bishop here and you get your king remotely close, I don't think there's any way. Yeah. Now this is going back to a position which I recognize. I don't think there's any way to win this. Not even close. Bishop c8. And obviously Black can sort of shuffle that knight forever, but you can just take the pawn now. And they're still playing on. Knight f5. Game drawn, and I think there's still a few more games left. f2, this one looks winning. But this is another 2 connected pass pawn rook endgame. Yeah, we all know that is completely winning. Miley 15, actually from Canada. She's the current Canadian women's champion. Round 6. So we got just under 200 players in the tournament, and we only have 1 leader. We only have 1 leader. That could apply to many scenarios, but right now we're just talking about chess. But Gusenov, Gadar Gusenov from Azerbaijan is 5 out of 5, perfect score, and we got a lot of people chasing with 4.5 points, including Kosteniuk, who's been doing very well this tournament. And we see there Dmitry Andreikin as well. So let's take a look at the games that our fearless leader is now playing. Rook e8. What was the opening? Everyone seems to be fanchetoing. Very modest by White. Just e3 and chill. And then he just shoves everything up to the 4th rank and just goes for queenside space. b5, a5. Probably going to see those moves. Yep. In some order. Meanwhile, Black usually goes for h5. Knight h7, knight g5, h4. This is just a king's Indian attack reversed. Basically, that's what this is. Interesting. I always like playing this for black. I think Wesley demonstrated a very sort of cyborg way, almost computer-esque. Just if you put this in the computer, I know that the computer always prefers, or at least says that the side who's defending, let's call it, is okay. So in this case, white, because black is attacking on the king side, because it likes the space and it likes how you can attack on the queen side. It says white's doing well. But in practice, I find that I almost always checkmate my opponents when I'm playing black, or if I'm the one attacking. So I'm not sure how this is going to work out for Moskalenko here, but I always prefer black in these types of openings. I just think they almost always work, these attacks. Push that pawn all the way to h3, knight g5. You can see all the motifs. Meanwhile, white says, you know what? Not concerned. G3, rook c1, and c5, and just continue pushing on the queen side. Some people are asking if my hair is blue or if it's the lighting, and I think it's definitely the lighting. That's some weird lighting. Looks like some sort of permanent lighting that might be on my head for a few months. Yeah, no, it's really weird lighting. Definitely lighting, guys. Anyway, c takes d5. And this is the breakthrough. White is saying, you know what? You can't mate me. So after knight c4, just going to continue bearing down on these weaknesses. And Moskalenko so far is doing an impressive job. He managed to get the breaks, b6, open the position. This is what you need. Knight takes b6 just looks like a good move here, but he wants queen b6 because he wants to exchange the queens. You can't blame him. With a position that looks like this around your king, you don't usually want the queens on the board. And obviously black knows that, so he does queen d7 because he wants bishop g4, trade the bishops off, and then the danger, queen f3, queen g2. No problem, guys. Just clarifying. Just clarifying, this is definitely the lighting. Rook takes a3. So if knight takes e8, what's going on? Because there's knight f6, so I think you have to take that, right? And then trade. Bishop takes. And you have two pieces for the rook. But it could work. It could work. I mean, you're going to lose the b pawn. Okay, he takes it right now. Yeah, white has these two pawns, and I'm not sure that you can actually create a threat unless you trade the bishops. And I'm not sure you can trade the bishops. This queen covers c8, covers d7. Those are the two squares that black needs to play bishop g4. If you can't play bishop g4, I'm not sure that white's king is in as much danger. King g7. Okay, you must take this rook on a3 eventually. Must take it. I can't see what else is going to happen. I mean, knight f3, keep in mind, is always possible. And it could be taken, or king h1, I'm not sure, but probably it'll be taken. And then after you take back, these two pawns take the important squares from black's pieces. So you can't really get mating the white king because you don't have any heavy pieces left. It seems to me like white is better. Just because I don't see the dangerous attacking options for black, but it's a position that I think could go either way. It's so dangerous to have your king looking like this. That's the only thing. Objectively, white might be better, but black's attacking prospects haven't completely disappeared. Even if you trade these rooks, there's moves like queen b2 to think about. As soon as this bishop gets threatened, remember, you pretty much have to watch that f3 square like the whole game. This is Title Tuesday, hosted on Chess.com. See some people asking, what on earth? Why are we all watching this guy stream with really bad lighting? And yes, this is Title Tuesday for the month of January, and we're in 2018, so this is the first Title Tuesday of the year. But that's the tournament that we're following, commentating, and spectating right now. So What's going to happen here? Queen d8. I'm a bit surprised that rook wasn't taken. Now, the way I see it, it's like, how could you leave that rook on the board? There's just going to be rook a2. The bishop might have to move. You're losing control of the f3 square, and with it, total control of the game. But like, how do you leave this rook just on the board, running around? I don't like it. It feels wrong to me. I would have traded that rook immediately. But what do I know? What do I know? No, not rook c3. That was my mouse clicking the wrong square. Knight f3. So finally, black decides to go for it. He admits there's no way to get bishop g4, which would be ideal, but it's just not possible with a queen on c6. So knight f3. Now white has to choose king h1 or taking. Taking, I mean, it has its drawbacks. Remember, if we take here, black puts the bishop on e4, that pawn starts to fall. And because the rook's still on the board, there's back rank issues sometimes. I don't like it. Let's go back to the game here. Excuse me, it's very cold here, I have to say. Yeah, you know, I got my wool coat on here because you gotta stay warm in the winter. Canadian winters especially. Is he gonna go for d6? Probably d6. Yes. Any tricks here with this rook hanging? Some queen a6, queen b5, not sure. I want to hang on to this pawn, but I don't think I can. If white manages to trade this pawn for this pawn, I call that an achievement. I call that an achievement. Rook g1. Look at this position. Okay, can we get that square as black? That's all we need right now. Actually, queen f5 is a very good move here, I think. Ooh, I think queen f5 was a good move. I think it might have even been winning. No, okay, I shouldn't say winning. No, that's very harsh of me, but it was interesting because I think we win the f-pawn. But I'm probably just letting the cold weather affect my brain. Black instead, and probably much more wisely, wants the e4 square. And he had to lose material for that. No, this is just over. You move the king, and there should be no way to save this position. Because remember, you have back rank issues. So now just queen d2. Okay, he could take and just play the endgame. Yeah, that's fine too. f3 and then g4. Yep. f3. Yep. So white is going to go take that pawn, but I don't think it's... He's going to have to play e4. Yeah, king e5 takes king f4. And that, yeah, this can't work. g5. This is just over because the bishop will be able to reach d1. So bishop a4 at some point, king e2, and then just wait with the bishop. And you will have to give me the d1 square eventually. There's just no way around it, unfortunately. Bishop d1, and that should be over. And Gusenov is going to go away with the win here against Moskalenko. There's no tricks left. Try for a stalemate. All right. There it is. I say there's no tricks left, but hey, got to give it to him. He was hoping for the stalemate. Okay, what else do we have? Round 6 here, getting close. We're more than halfway. We got Blitzstream against Gawain Jones. This looks like it's definitely going to be a draw. I don't see any tricks. Nothing. The king is just unfortunately too far away. That king is too far away. All right, and they're going to have a draw here. Meanwhile, let's check out this game. Okay, glad we checked out that game, aren't you? That's why you guys got to have me at the helm. Otherwise, you'd miss important moments like this. Aren't you glad we checked out this game? Boom. Rook takes rook. Game over. Good stuff. All right. Good pep talk. Let's take a look at the Ginger GM, who's trying to, well, not even trying anymore. He has a fortress. This is a complete fortress. Actually, is black going... I was going to say, is black going up the board or not? Yeah, okay, this makes more sense. This makes more sense. King f7. And yeah, as soon as... I mean, the rook is just protected by the pawn, and the king can never cross anywhere. Can never cross anywhere. So Ginger GM looks like he's going to hold the draw here. There's just no way. This is just a known fortress here for black. Don't move that rook. That's all I gotta say. Just don't move that rook. Yawn. I know I was not pronouncing the first name of the guy playing white here. That was actually me yawning because they're still playing. Contrary to Jan Ludwig Hammer, you wonder where he gets his name from. Zing. No, but this is... I mean, I understand playing on, but this is a known fortress, and we're not really getting anywhere with white. So at some point, you call it quits. Once the guys learn not to move his rook, you can't win, unfortunately. This is where you need that... what do they do at the Oscars? They have the music that comes on, right? When your speech is too long. They need to start introducing that into Title Tuesday or competitive chess. I'd like to see that in competitive chess. If it's a known fortress, I'd like to see the credits rolling, and I'd like to see the music come on, just like the Oscars. Still going here. Move 120 and going strong. I wonder how long they've been playing. Someone's got to claim a 50. Oh, repetition. Okay. Game drawn by repetition. You got to click draw every move if you're black there, just in case it's repetition. Okay, so that was the last game of the round. I mean, for sure. There's no way there was a game longer than that. Guseynov won again. So that's 6 out of 6 for Guseynov, as we saw. And people are chasing with 5.5 points. There you see it on your screen. We got Amin Bassem, by the way, with 5 out of 6. Good to see him in the tournament. He's a doctor, so if anyone loses too much rating, starts bleeding rating, he'll be there to take care of everyone. Let's take a look, though. Still, FM and IM. I'm pretty sure that's Atulia Shetty, by the way, from the U.S. So that's a good score for him so far. Let's take a look at Guseynov Andreikin. Huge game. Huge game. What's the opening? Is this a G3 Sicilian? My favorite. If you ever don't know what to play, just play G3. Now that could apply to a lot of things, but especially in the Sicilian. G3 Sicilian is simple. You know where your pieces go. He decides to take. The other way to play is to actually bring the knight back. H3, bishop E3. This isn't quite theory, but it's almost theory in the sense that the games sort of develop the same way each time. You're going to play for B3 and C4. I think you play B3 and C4. I think you can get away with C4 here. Can you? Yeah, Queen E8's kind of a funky looking move, but I thought you could get away with C4 because Knight E5 there was B3. But maybe there were tactics there, I'm not sure. Anyway, he's going for a position where I'm pretty sure we will get this structure of pawn on B3, pawn on C4. And then after that, it's just playing against the d6 pawn. I mean, you're not going to win anything by force. Black is obviously very, very solid. I mean, there's no question. Not a huge advantage, but it's a space advantage and likely a time advantage. We see it already is a time advantage, but it's probably going to build. Probably going to build. How many hair jokes have I got so far? Well, a lot less than usual. That's the thing. I'm usually getting hair jokes for my beard, but I've shifted the attention. Everyone's focused on this. Now everyone's focused on this. I'm just doing some social experimenting, some data collection, data mining. So I appreciate everyone playing along. Now that the beard is gone, I think I got more jokes about the beard than the blue hair, but keep them coming. Keep them coming. C5, and if you ask me, this doesn't look good for Andreikin here. Is this Guseynov going for 7 out of 7, guys? Is this 7 out of 7? Because, I mean, we might see a 9 out of 9. I commentated one Title Tuesday where Bortnik went 9 out of 9. Actually, Title Tuesday, well, it used to be 9 rounds, but now it's 10 rounds. So 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10, great tournament. Would be very, very interesting to see. That would be complete destruction. I don't even think Carlsen scored that. So we'll see. We'll see. Bishop controls d8, by the way, which is really important. So even if this gets opened, the d file that is, I'm not sure that it necessarily means anything too bad. What I'm worried about now as the position starts to develop is what actually happens if black says, okay, so what? Don't care about your d file. What if I just attack your king? Meanwhile, we're trying to see if he can go 10 out of 10. What do you guys think? 10 out of 10 on the cards for this tournament? Yes, take that. And I think he's going to take with the bishop. Because if you take with the pawn, the bishop just sits there on b6 and does nothing. Probably take. And then pawn takes. And then we can start doing f3, g5, whatever we want. Yep, h5, h4, here it comes. This bishop is very strong. If white's bishop could go on d5, that would be quite nice. But other than that, there's only rook d6. That's the only square you can use, really. The queen's going to go to e7, and the pawn's going to go to h4, and I like black now. He's kind of flipped the script. I like black's position. There's a great comment from the chat. You guys making fun of his hair, you have no idea what style is. Yeah, tell him. Let him know. You guys have no idea what style is. Clearly. Or bad lighting, depending on your viewpoint. Now, what on earth is going on here? How come I can't play f3 and g4 or h3 and g4? What was queen g4 and h... hang on a sec. So why not queen here? I understand rook d6, but that doesn't threaten anything. So what are we really scared of? How come we played queen g4 and just completely hung a pawn? g4, yes, and what? f3, bishop f1. Rook d6 is coming. This just looks very, very suspicious from black. I would have played f3 and g4, by the way, because I don't like allowing this e4 pawn to be undefended. As we see now, he's hoping to just win the pawn back with bishop takes e4. But I thought f3, g4 should have been played. That would have been better, I think. Now, bishop e4. What's going to happen here? Some rook d6. There's queen c4 as well, but I don't think it's really meaningful. Yeah, I mean, I think you take it in general. He goes for f3 first, shuts down this diagonal for both players, so it's kind of good and bad. But I must be missing something. But wasn't there f3 here? f3. And you move the queen the same way, and then g4. But then the pawn isn't hanging. Then there's no f3. I thought that was much simpler. In the end, this is probably black who's going to have the pull in this endgame, even though the pawns are on light squares for the bishops. Black's king can very quickly come into the action. So black has decent chances here. White's king is under a lot of pressure. Yep, he's even going for the endgame because he knows if you take, you can even take with the pawn in some cases. Hello, Agent JL. Queen takes now. Do you take with the pawn? Because the rook actually doesn't have that many squares to go to. Yes, I think this makes sense. King g7. And white wants to bring the king out like this, but it's still a journey. I think rook d6 and bring the king out. Okay, he goes for that. Now, well, obviously he should have played that last move. There's no reason to allow black to just move king g7 for no reason. If rook d8, of course, there was bishop takes f3. That was the idea. Okay, since they go to a rook endgame, I think we might see this one drawn. Rook to f5, and rook takes f3 is what white wants to do. And meanwhile, black is starting to target some of these pawns. And remember, after he plays this, there's a mate threat. So you probably have to go take that pawn. Rook takes, rook b3, rook takes, king there. That will probably get a greed drawn, but we'll see. They'll play it on a bit. Rook to a5. Just king g2. And, well, basically it's a draw even if you don't have some of these pawns. So I think that black will have, white will have no problem here. Takes. And giving white connected pass pawns for no reason here. f4 I like. Okay, f3 is fine too. King h3. Takes, and I guess we'll see. We'll see the game drawn there. Guseynov with white here. I wanted a 10 out of 10, and there's still a chance that he could win this, actually. He has better chances. Remember what I said. Oh, wait, does everyone remember? I said, give up this pawn. I said, give up the pawn and then play rook there and make the easy draw, right? Look, he's going to lose now. He's lost. Rook f4, g5 is completely losing. That is disgusting. I said, quote me on that. I said, give up the pawn and make the easy draw with the Philidor. People get confused when they have extra pawns. Pawns that they don't need to make the draw. And he got confused and now he's going to lose. You got to listen to Hambo. Got to listen to that. Got to give up that pawn. Oh, this is terrible. Oh, no. What is... Andreikin. Like to have a chat with Andreikin. Oh, he's building the bridge now. This is just... Wait, what? Huh? I mean, it's fine. You give a check, but well, that was a bit weird, right? What happened to building the bridge? What happened to good old bridge building? This guy's never played Settlers of Catan or something. What? That was just weird. Yeah, you can't tease me like that. You got to build the bridge, buddy. You got to finish off that bridge. Anyhow, I think the main focal point to this endgame is that this is the position. Why don't you play rook there, give up the pawn, rook there, and just draw the position? Just draw. Just make a draw. Move the king back. Wait for the Philidor position. We all know that. I I can only help these people so much with my vast knowledge and extremely high intellect. However, he did manage to lose that. So that is Guseynov maintaining his perfect score. Maintaining his perfect score. He did the unthinkable. You hold on to that extra pawn, and it confuses you. You're not used to that pattern. So just give it up and keep things simple. That's my advice. Let's see if white manages to checkmate with an extra queen here. Okay, black's going to resign, save him the embarrassment. There we go. And that's the end of round 7. So let's bring up the standing there. 7 out of 7 for Guseynov. I'm not sure if they've played. Actually, I think they have. I think they did play. No, obviously they didn't play. What am I doing? I think they've played. Yeah, he's got a perfect score, and this guy's had a draw. So, yeah, why don't you explain yourself there, Hambo? So, yeah, I guess they'll play right now. That'll be the pairing. And Guseynov going for 10 out of 10. I mean, he's got 7 out of 7, so it's already a massive, massive score, but there's quite a pack chasing him. Quite a pack chasing him. There we go. Guseynov here. Let's flip it. Look from his point of view. Get the standings out of the way there. And the POV cam of Gatter Guseynov here as he goes for 10 out of 10. Yes, those were some quick maths, if I can say that. Those were some very quick maths. All right, tennis master from Cuba. Queen A5. Just very interesting moves here. I should point out a trap. If you take this, white can choose between a number of very nice options. Number 1, this would just win the knight unless you play this, but oops, then you lose the bishop. Or knight takes knight, exclamation mark. Bishop b5, you have to block with the queen, and this would also leave you up 1 piece. So there's a number of reasons why knight d4 was not played in that position. I like black here just because e6, you can always give up, oops, it doesn't move like that. You can always give up the bishop if you need to, and you play e6 and knight e7, whatever, just develop slowly, trade the queens off, and that's the most important thing. Once you trade the queens off, then this pawn starts to just look a little bit weak. Now, if white can defend it, he has more space. He has the options with h4, h5 in the endgame, but in the short term, I like black. Somebody with the username Amused Bystander is a big supporter of my hair. I should remind him, obviously, that it's just the lighting. It's obviously just the lighting, but I do appreciate the sentiment. It's nice to have one fan out there. Nice to have one fan. Knight takes b3. Naturally, you don't want to cripple your pawns like that. Bishop takes f3. And he chooses to take doubled f pawns instead of these double, because these would be double isolated pawns. That's the thing. It's not, you wouldn't be the biggest fan of that. Now, hang on a sec. Hang on a sec. Okay. I was wondering why this wasn't played, but bishop b4 check. It's not the end of the world. You can take the bishop pair, but it's definitely not good. Okay. No, I thought knight a5 was very good there. Bishop b4 might be a move here. See, white's also created a weakness on c6 as well. So it's not just a walk in the park for black, not like the pawn is here. But I have to say I like Guseynov's position. You know, you're going to put the knight here. Then you're going to play king d7. Because if the knight ever goes there, first of all, you're hanging a pawn. But second of all, always bishop takes immediately. You always are ready to give up that bishop because look at this. You're primed and ready. Pawns on light squares for an endgame with a good knight. Remember, this knight's going out. It's his birthday. He's going out with his friends. It's a good night. He's ready. Knight c5. You snap that off. Snap that piece off immediately. Knight a5. Pressure on c6. I mean, you can always just double the rooks here, but I'm wondering if he's thinking about something else now. Well, c5 might be a move now. Okay, b4, end of that dream. And it may be the case that black has trouble making progress, but there's always like things like g5, f6 to consider. I think g5 is a reasonable move at some point down the line if you need some play. But hang on a sec. I don't think we're playing bishop there. I think he's going here and trying to play f6. f6 is an idea. At the moment, take bishop f4 is something to at least calculate. Might be tricky. And if the knight ever goes here, you need to watch out for knight c5 if the bishop goes there. So I'm not sure he'd be so keen to play f6 here. Knight h4. Interesting. I think they may just make a draw here. White's position is so solid. I mean, both positions are so solid, but even though white has the pawns all on the wrong color, it's just, I don't think either side wants to risk the position. Oh, the 10 out of 10 dream is done. Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. Let's take a look at Kosteniuk, who's playing against Andreikin here, and we haven't checked her games in a while. G5 is on the cards. What is her score? 5.5. 5.5 is a huge score. That's still very good. It seems like she dropped a game on the way, but what's the material here? Down a pawn? No. Just one. Just one pawn. Not that bad. You got b5 here as a possibility. So what? King b1? Okay, knight b3 is the supposed answer, but what happens after rook there? e5 or what? No, I mean, this is just a threat. Oh, c5. That's a interesting move, to say the least. Very interesting. Just king b1, right? Or king d2. Yeah, but basically move the king, and if you take like this, maybe some rook c1, and yeah. Rook c1, rook d8, we'll see king e2. But black made some achievements, it feels like, in the last couple moves. You know, there's c4 on the horizon, knight b4, and probably rook. I don't know, rook c5 is also fine. Okay, decides for the more aggressive option. But that may come back to bite her because there's knight c6 in the position. That's too bad. She's going to have to do it, but knight c6 will definitely appear on the board. The rook's going to have to move somewhere not very useful. Hang on a sec. So, check. And takes. You don't play a2 because oh, there's no rook a7. Ooh, ooh. Well, I think it has to be taken in general. The other option is taking the bishop. But for example, something like this. This is very tricky. This got a lot trickier than intended. Rook a8. You can try rook a8 here. King back. That doesn't feel right. Just trade. Just rook takes. Keep it simple. Right? Or I was thinking a position like this because you end up one pawn, but there's rook there, and no, that's actually not very good at all. So they couldn't just keep it simple there. You actually had to calculate. What a crazy game. Kosteniuk found a very nice resource, which was after knight c6. No, I'm not going to move my rook. Not going to move my rook, you silly commentator. I'm going to play a much stronger move. C takes b3, and look at what mayhem she's created in this position, because now black has the a1 threat, and as we can see, white's actually chosen to go down a piece but take the g7 pawn and say you've got 3 connected pawns, and this bishop has a hard time sort of maneuvering around the position, and pawns are falling left and right. That's the compensation. So we'll probably see this h-pawn start to creep up the board. Oh, wait, hang on. Maybe he doesn't want to allow bishop takes e5. Yes, I think bishop e5 was in the position. For example, something like this. It's just if black wanted to bail out, you could do this. It seems like white's still ambitious for a win. Because remember, this bishop is not very good on a1. So we might see check and then rook back. Okay, there it is. The bailout option. Now, let's see if someone manages to lose an endgame that is drawn once again. Not taking the pawn. And what should white do here? Is there any way to push? Rook f6 next, and then take. Remember, if you need to, give up this pawn and make the draw that you know how to make. Oh, would you look at that? Would you look at that? Would you look at that? I'm almost like a proud dad. I just feel so good right now. She gave up the pawn and she made it. Wow. And look, she made a draw in a few moves. That's unbelievable how that works, guys. That is unbelievable. When you listen to Hambo, look what happens. You make very easy draws. Well, that's good to see. That's good to see. Don't need to overcomplicate things. Would you look at that? That is a good result for Kostyaniuk, who I'm sure is gaining a bunch of rating from her performance this tournament. Someone else who is going to be gaining a little bit of rating from that game at least, Daniel Naroditsky. He was over 2,800 when the tournament started. He's still over 2,800, so he hasn't dropped too much, but he only has 5.5 points, so he's had a tough journey so far, but he wins here, so he's rejoining people on top of the table, and it's always nice to see people with this username, GM IM Dimitri. He clearly made his account when he was an IM, and didn't seem like he was very ambitious for the GM title. It's always weird when people name their accounts like FM something, or it's just going to look weird if you ever achieve a higher title. Yeah, just king here and then queen. That's all you need to do. Good job, good technique, all around. There it is. Game over. All right, what's the deal here? Okay, white is very easily winning. I want to create some... Don't play that. Yes, now play that. Check and king there. And then there's no check here. Good job, sir. Nicholas Huschenbeith is playing with white here. And I think just... Is queen d4 working? No, I want some beautiful way to win the position. Queen d4 was working there, actually. This. Because we know that the b pawn is always winning. White just puts the queen on b1. Very easy. So I think that would have been a lot easier. Okay, I don't know what this is, but just queen with... Or sorry, take it and just queen, and you're not even promoting. There it is. That was the last game of the round, so we're going on to round 8 now. Let's bring the standings on the screen. Guseynov 7.5 out of 8, and now we can really pay attention to these leaders because the top spots will be contested. Atulia, international master here, 6.5 out of 8, having a great tournament, but 7 out of 8 and chasing the leaders. Viktor Matvishin from Ukraine, 23-14 IM. I don't know who that is, but boy, is he going to be gaining some rating from this tournament. I'm pretty sure that's the live rating as well, so he must have been even lower when the tournament started. Tennis master from Cuba, Renato Terry Lujan from Peru, very strong Peruvian blitz player. Severomorsky, I'm pretty sure that's Moisenko from the Ukraine, and Gadar Guseynov leading the tournament atop everyone, 7.5 out of 8. Let's get into the games because we have this game to catch up on. Let's breeze through the opening really quickly. Got a Sicilian. E5 played, close Sicilian, bishop c4, and f4. I always like these positions for white, so I'm interested in this game because I need to learn like how does black play, because to me it's like you just have the open file, weak f7 pawn. If I can get a3 and save my bishop, it just looks great, like a great position. It's like a king's gambit where black doesn't get a chance to like hang on to his f pawn. You just get an open f file and develop normally. And also, of course, I don't like this c5 that I have the squares for my pieces. So some like a3 or a4 here, probably a4. I guess this is the idea, and to play knight f3 next. We can take with the g pawn, bishop h3. You know, move the rook, king h1, use the g file to attack. It's some promising things here. Is he going to play h6? That's the question. I always think white is doing very well here. And it looks like black might agree here. Oh, it must be a4 now, right? Unless there's simply a more useful move, we should be playing like h3 or knight d5. I'm not sure, but I would think a4. Yeah, okay, a4 is played, and the reason is that if b5, just to point out, we can play bishop takes f7 because there's a hanging rook on a8 that this rook is doing two jobs, defending a8 and f7. So just an overworked piece. Okay, knight back. I don't think there's any tricks with knight f7. No, so knight goes back. Takes, bishop h3. Okay, bishop goes back. Because, yeah, bishop h3, actually, white gets to use the g file. So black wants to make sure he exchanges this piece. And more importantly, I think he's intending d5. I think he's intending d5. I'm surprised he didn't play d5. It looks like a very good move. Actually, how does white react to d5? Because if you move the bishop, obviously you lose a piece to d4. And if you take, and I take with a knight, isn't that just great for black? That should be a good position. Gotta flip the board here. Just make sure I'm not hallucinating. d5 looked like a great move. Queen g2 looks like a great blunder, because bishop h3 is whipped out and now you just lose an exchange. Now, it's not the worst thing because this bishop remains super strong on this diagonal. I think you just play queen f2, dare him to take that rook, and play rook g1 and play for compensation. I think this bishop's very, very strong. If I'm black, I think here just d5 is very good, unless this is completely checkmating. Unless that's checkmated. The thing is, after bishop h6, I can just take the bishop on c4. So, yeah, I feel like that was a good move. I feel like that was a very good move. Queen h3 is played. I kind of like playing a5, just because I'm not sure black has time to go take it. But knight d5 also looks very good. I think this bishop offers tremendous compensation here. I really do. Even queen g2, I'm not terribly afraid of playing the endgame. But we might see queen e2, yeah. Keep the queens on. Guseynov here, good compensation, but black is objectively winning, I would say. He's just up a clean exchange. White just blundered, played queen g2, allowed bishop to h3, skewering the queen and rook. But we're going to see the compensation. This is not an easy position, let me tell you. I think white's bishop on d5 is extremely strong. So if bishop e6, we'll see maybe rook e8, just to show this this pin here. Something like this is just winning for black. So bishop e6 doesn't look like an option here. Rook g1. And the way these pieces are placed, there's not an easy way to just like put the queen and rook on the open file and threaten some things on g7 or g6 check, because this is hanging and obviously the queen is just covering g2. So what to play? I feel at some point you just have to move this b6 or b5. You can't have a rook defending a pawn like that. That's too much firepower in one place. Gotta get that rook off of b8. Now, is this an option? Yeah, what about bishop e6 right now? I really don't like that move, but I just noticed there was a move, queen h5, that he might have been concerned about. Yeah, okay, so c3, we'll probably see king up to g2. White starts to have decent chances. I mean, you gotta, whoa, that looks wrong. I mean, there's a hanging pawn here for starters, so if you take that, are you playing f4 there? Wow, this is getting dicey actually. Takes his f4 move? No, there's rook g4. Queen h5? I'm not sure. That's just kind of bizarre. But yeah, the other thing is if you take and then I take here, there's the same sort of motif of rook g4. Time's getting very low, so let's just watch the game develop here as Guseynov has a big time advantage. And like I've been saying, that bishop on d5, which might go to e6 right now, that's such a strong piece. I think it offers more than enough compensation. And actually, can he take and then play queen h5? Surprisingly, that looked interesting there with like queen g6. Although I should say queen g6, the queen was covering mate, so it wasn't even a threat. That would have been a bad move. But rook g4, like I said initially, keep things simple. Use that time advantage. Just 10 seconds for black here. Some mate threats there. He's offering a pawn. After a move like rook g3, you could just take this. I think you could just take it. I don't think he's going to repeat for a draw. No way. White must be better here. You have to play this on. Have to play it on. There's queen e4 after taking on e5. Yeah, well, why not just take on e5 here? White looks like he's in a good position. Yeah, good stuff. Take on e5. Why not? I think that with 2 pawns now for the exchange, plus that time ticking down, you got to be so careful. Because remember, if black wants to give up a rook for a bishop, he's still going to be down a pawn. And I don't think he can let d5 happen. We're going to see him take this. We must see. Oh, I don't know. After d5, this is now a very tough defense. I would have objectively taken that bishop. This is probably just going to be a win for white. I think it's pretty easy. White brings the king up. No. This is very bad. Very easy plan and completely lost position for black. This is, I mean, if you're being objective, guys, take that bishop. Just take it. You know that the rook endgame is going to be easier to draw than this one, which I don't even think you can dream of winning or drawing anymore. This is just lost. This is over. Might see h3 here. Nice move. Yeah, don't let the pawn get to h3. No need for any trouble. f6. Probably rook g7 followed by f7, something like that. Might play b4. Yeah, black just doesn't have any moves, quite frankly. This is nasty. d6. d6. Look, I mean, this rook can't move. It's like trapped. Rook d7. d6. I can't even suggest moves anymore. They all win. They all win here. That's a very bad game by black there at the end. I just think you got to sacrifice the rook for that bishop. This is too easy for white to play with that strong bishop on e6. I was saying it was strong the whole game, but you can really see what I mean now. Guseynov moves to 8.5 out of 9. That's just crazy. That is a crazy score. And there's 10 rounds in this tournament, so we still got one more round to play. But he is beast mode this event. I think he's taking first place no matter what. But we just got to see what score he gets because he is killing it right now. Guseynov from Azerbaijan is definitely having a good day today. Meanwhile, this is most certainly winning for white. Check and probably just check again. He's setting up the mate, right? You want check and mate. So now you play king g5. If you go back there, there's knight d5, which wins. So you got to use this rook. But then there's this, probably knight g4, knight d5, just win. Knight d5 gains a tempo, looks tempting. Just knight check, followed by g7. That's going to be game over. For Hovhannissian from Armenia, I think he's going to win this one. 3 pawns, connected pawns, plus the knight. No chance here. Yeah, just take it, and you have the extra pawn, so it's not even close to anything. Knight f6. I wonder why he did that. It was a bit weird. f4. Bring the rook. Push the pawn. Knight e5 and rook d7. There we go. Rook d7. Game over. Okay, that game is finished, and with it, the round is over. So let's take a look at those standings going into the last round of play. Guseynov, 8.5 out of 9. Tennis Master, 8 out of 9. This is pretty impressive stuff. Even 8 out of 9. Remember, 7.5 out of 9 is a huge score. Where did Akshat Chandra get that 7.5 from? We haven't seen him all tournament. But we got guys sneaking in the back door here. We got Kostyaniuk with 7 out of 9. She's continuing to have an amazing day. That's a big score for her. Mkhitaryan, probably streaming right now, is doing very well with 7 out of 9 as well. But Guseynov, 8.5 out of 9, is absolutely beast mode. We got people chasing him, but let's see what he does in the final round. Naroditsky needs a win to come back in this tournament and potentially share first place. So he has something to play for. I think that they're going to play this one out. Guseynov would obviously be okay with a draw, but I don't think he's been playing for a draw all tournament. He's always been pushing right to the end, and that's why he's won so many games in a row. So what's it going to be here? Naroditsky with white. We're going to switch. Look at the POV cam of Guseynov here. But some big scores being posted in the first title Tuesday of 2018. Queen takes d8, and we might see a knight move. I was expecting knight maybe to d5, but I always have the opinion in these sort of Pierts. By the way, we're seeing the Pierts reappear at top level and in blitz games. I mean, I think it's making a comeback. You heard it here first. The Pierts is gonna appear more and more. It's been used a lot recently with quite some success. So knight to e8, we'll see a6, kicking the knight out. Of course, we have to include that. c3 is always nice for white to get, stopping knight d4, but I don't think black can be upset with a position like this at all. Bishop f8. If knight c4, I think b5 is the intention. And I wonder if after knight d2, bishop c5, can we consider that? Okay, he's going with knight here. But after taking, I think it's very clear that white is slightly better, in my opinion. Yeah, knight back or taking, doesn't matter. I think white is slightly better. But b5 was actually interesting. Now, I know it's kind of counterintuitive, but what if we actually gave up the 2 bishops here and got a rook to the 2nd rank? How crazy would that be? I'm trying to decide if I'm just... Yeah, I think I'm just a bit off here. Because you protect it and you play this and you have to kick... Yeah, you get kicked out and that's no good. So it was an idea, but I don't think it was a good one. Knight d6, as played by Guseynov, is much better. So trust the guy who's on 8.5 out of 9, not the guy with bad lighting. What can we say? That's one thing we learned for sure today. Knight a5. I don't think there's a real issue playing b3, but I think bishop e2 is sort of the preferred method to watch over the c4 square, and that's what he does. Bishop to e2. After b3, you just allow things like knight b5, and the dark squares, there's a3 and c3 become a little bit weaker, and I think you want to leave that pawn on b2 as long as you can. As long as you can. Black's playing fast. That's one thing you want to make sure you keep up is your speed. You can't fall into the trap of getting a slightly worse position and then also playing slow, because the time is going to come back to bite you. I'm just going to take a look at the other game, which was Tennis Master against Akshat Chandra. I just want to nip over here real quick. Let's see what's happening, because this is also a game for first place, potentially, in the tournament if Guseynov doesn't win. 8 points for Tennis Master here with white, and 7.5 for Akshat, and great compensation here. 2 pawns plus that great bishop. I prefer black. I think black is doing very well. So Akshat might win for 8.5 points. That means 9 is probably not going to be scored by Tennis Master, but we'll let that one develop. Go back to the game of Guseynov. Looks like achievements here for Naroditsky. I like what he's doing. A4 and A5 is usually a good inclusion for white. Bishop pair is still going strong. As long as you do not trade these bishops. That's the thing. If I'm black, I want to consider something like knight b7 and bishop c5. That's my next goal. As long as you don't trade those bishops, you're good with black here. So will it be knight b7? Knight b7 looks good, yes. And bishop c5, we'll probably see rook d1. Rook d1, I think. And then take, you can just take with the knight. I mean, alternatively, you can play king f2, but I think rook d1. Bringing the rook in is the better thing to do first. I think there's a priority on that. This is the last round of the tournament. Yes, for those wondering. We are in round 10 here. Title Tuesday is coming to a close, but there's still first place completely up for grabs. I mean, it's crazy. 8.5 out of 9, but you could still not even come first place. If you don't at least make a draw in the last round. So all that hard work, all that huge score for could be for nothing. Well, not nothing, but it's kind of too bad if a performance like this doesn't get you first place, but he still has work to do. He's black. I believe he's slightly worse, but the knights are very tricky, and I said that you needed to exchange those dark square bishops, and I like what he's done. He did exactly that. And the question is, after bishop b5, what happens? That looks like the move, right? That's got to be the move, bishop b5. Because if the knight moves, you can take on e5. So the knight is going to move. And we could see something like, I was going to say the knight moves, and if you take this pawn, then there's c6 and knight takes a4. So instead, that's definitely not going to be played. I think are we going to see c6? No, he's going to take instead. Yeah, c6. Then probably bishop takes, and something like this. And you're attacking these 2 pawns. Okay, it would be about equal, let's say. Okay, black's down a pawn here, but I wonder if he's going to keep checking, or if he prefers to now activate the knight. So they might have a draw here. Let's see. King e1. Naroditsky must be trying to play on. No, actually, knight d4 is coming. That's what's happening. If king e1, knight d4 threatens rook e2, winning the knight, and knight f3, winning the rook. So I think he's just going to take. I think he's going to take the draw. Ooh, he plays on. He plays on. So knight d4. What is he up to? He's going to play king d3. Knight f3, rook e7. I think that's how he's trying to play on. Daniel Naroditsky, crowd pleaser. Looks like he's going to play on. Is he going to go back? I shouldn't call him a crowd pleaser unless he plays king d3 right now. There he is. Daniel Naroditsky, there it is. Rook a3, king d2. If check again, can we play this? No, because knight d4. Knight d4 now. Okay, we're going to get a game. This one is going to continue. Knight takes f3 check, king e2. Knight checking there, and knight check. I don't think he can avoid it now. He tried, but I don't think you can avoid it, because you're going to lose your knight. Oh, he tried. He tried. I think they're going to have a draw now by repetition. But he tried to play on. Unfortunately, black found a nice resource there. They're just going to keep repeating. There it is. A draw, and I believe, let's go take a look at the other game. Black did win. So that means a clear first place. that is a clear first place for Guseynov. I'll just briefly show the standings. We'll get back to it at the end of the tournament, but that's how it looks at the top. And as you can see, they've all played all 10 games. So these should be the standings unless someone with 7 out of 9 wins and has better tiebreaks. So we'll see. Let's take a look at the games now. But Guseynov, undefeated tournament, 9 out of 10 points. That is a huge result. Let's take a look at Kosteniuk, who... Oh, there's a draw on the board for her opponent, and I believe it will be taken. Yeah, no, there's no time on the clock. Oh, really? Oh, there's no draw on the board. I didn't even notice this, but hang on a sec. Oh, no, the queen f1, you're losing your rook. What's black trying to do? Is black trying to win? Wow, black is so greedy. Trying to flag Kosteniuk? This is rigged or something. How come? What? What on earth am I looking at? How do you play on down a piece? Down a full piece. Who do you think you are, buddy? Against the chess queen? Who do you think you are? Bishop e5. Yes. Yes. Rook d7. Of course. And mate on the board. What on earth am I looking at? That was some of the worst decision making I've ever seen. Hang on a sec. So Kosteniuk finishes with 8 out of 10. That might even get her third place depending on tiebreaks. She might have very good tiebreaks. I wouldn't be surprised. But what on earth did we just look at? So they repeated 3 times, like 4 times even. Okay, draw, everyone's happy. But then all of a sudden, maybe he has bad lighting, just like me. Like bad lighting in his brain or something. Because Rook G8. What is that? What is that? I mean, that's a very, very suspicious move. And a gift that the chess queen will happily take. Because that leaves her potentially tied for third. So we will get the final standings. I think there's 1 or 2 more games just finishing up here. Here's one of them. As we wrap up this Title Tuesday in style. Okay, that's a draw. And are there any more games? No, I think that's it. Let's get the standings on the screen there. And that's how it ended up. And you know, that cute little Chess.com bronze trophy is going to appear for, I believe that's Alexander Moisenko. So he's going to take third, but the money is shared and it's split between, let's take a look, Viktor Matvishin, or... Yeah, from the Ukraine, 8 out of 10. Charles Zapata, 8 out of 10. Tennis Master, Chess Queen, Daniel Naroditsky, and Moisenko, all 8 out of 10. That's a very big score. They'll share third place. And Akshat Chandra with a huge win in the last round, 8.5 out of 10. That's a massive score as well. We didn't really get a chance to see because Guseynov was stealing the show, but right behind him, 8.5 out of 10 is a huge performance for the youngster Chandra here. And of course, the gold medal, the first place, the fame, the glory, all that jazz goes to Gadar Guseynov because he was undefeated, 9 out of 10. We thought he might even score 10 out of 10 at some point, but he was playing very well. And the special note was that the Pierce was played a lot this tournament and that I think it's going to make a comeback. Dynamic opening. I think a lot of the top players were using that as their weapon with black. So interesting stuff. There you go. That's the Title Tuesday for January. And as Danny mentioned in the chat, he is streaming Amateur Hour right now with John Urschel. So go and check that out. That's hosted over on his channel. And it's going to be hosted here from Chess.com as well, hosted on Twitch. But go check that out. And in about 2 hours, I'll be back. And I'll be doing a show, Hambleton's Happy Hour. Right here on Chess.com. So if you want to see if I fix my lighting by then, tune back in. You can see on the screen there, IM Aman Hambleton is my Twitter. Go ahead and follow me if you guys were entertained today. I had some fun, and I'll be back with another show for 2 hours in about 2 hours. So I hope to see everybody back then, and go check out Danny right now. And don't forget that Naka against Magnus is happening tomorrow. Speed Chess Championships, that's going to be so much fun. I'm so hyped for that. So lots of fun chess, exciting stuff happening straight away in 2018. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone brought in the new year with a bang, and take care for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys later today. Bye, everybody.